food has never come back down when it went up. Food is such a huge cost. It feels like it's eating up most of our budgets. That's just food. If what you just said is correct, that means it's not going down. That means it's going to continue being expensive or more expensive. That's just one part of the budget. And I told you with energy affects everything else. So that means the cost of living is just going to be expensive from here on out. But more importantly, to the people that are buyers and sellers or real estate professionals, most likely that means house prices probably won't come down either. And that is the most significant part of this. This is why inflation is important to pay attention to as a professional. As an average buyer and seller, you don't have to, right? But why it's important for you to kind of understand this, because everything's going to be more expensive. It's going to be harder. And this is what I meant by like, hey, if there's one piece of advice I could give to people, I never did. In all the years I've ever like helped my friends out, they want to buy something, we're running the numbers. The number one thing I'm telling people is you need to make more money. You can't hope that yesterday's prices will return. It's not. When you print that much money, it's going to be so much more expensive. And that is the scariest thing of all, because you think buying a house is shitty right now. Is going to get worse.
You print $6 trillion and everything has to get more expensive. They proved that to us before, and they should have never printed that much money. That was greed, that was politicians, that was fear, and that was letting go of the purse strings for too long, which caused massive corporate speculation and investor speculation, even on the smaller side, which just kept the money growing and growing and growing. That tide, that liquidity crunch has to come back in. That piper has to get paid. But that $6 trillion never goes away. So it forms, it's like stairs. We just took a step up. We're standing now on that new step. Everything's just more expensive. And you said it's so brilliant. That was brilliant. If everything's more expensive, real estate has to stay more expensive. Period. End of discussion. Shelter. Okay, so shelter. This is how they look at that. Shelter is rents and owner equivalent rents. That's how they measure it. Owner equivalent rent is if you own the home and you actually just paid for it as rent, what would it look like? That's how they measure it. They also measure it very slowly. So what they measure it over is a 12-month run. So it rises slow and it drops slow. So shelter's probably going to come down, but shelter, aka housing, rose for the 40th consecutive month in a row. Shelter cost was up 7.3%. And I know the people who rent and are rental properties, and just what I'm seeing, I am seeing those rental rates rise. There's a property you know about. The property management was in that just a couple days ago. They told me $2,600 is what we should ask for rent for that one now, which is $100, $200 more than it just previously was. Crazy. So this should start declining. However, this is the problem. There are some signs that shelter is picking back up and that rents are starting to increase and home prices are starting to increase. The Fed is not getting what they want, so they may have to beat us up and I might lose that $100. This is a mind boggler too. Energy prices are down 3.6% year over year, so they are falling. However, from July to August, the month-over-month energy prices rose 5.6%, and gasoline shot up 10.6%. So in the last year, they're saying energy prices are coming down, but we just had a bump. That's why core was still trending in a downward direction, but CPI popped up. It's because of this energy. We're a petroleum-based economy, okay? No matter how much we want to push EVs and how cool we think there are and how many Teslas Elon can build, we are still super dependent on petroleum. That's what causes everything in the economy to run. When gas pops up 10% in a month, it's massive inflationary. They have to get this under control and get this slowed down. The problem is, normally we dip into our strategic oil reserves. Well, we already pulled that trick. We can't go to the strategic oil reserves and go grab, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of barrels to pull the price down right now because we already did that trick. And at some point, the U.S. has to refill, which is going to make prices come up even more. High gasoline prices are here to stay. I don't see how to make them go lower due to our environmental regulations, due to our massive pushes for EV, and due to geopolitical relations with other people around the world, and of course, the war between Russia and Ukraine. The Fed has a tough job in front of them. We need to remember higher for longer. I really agree with you. I was hanging out with some very smart friends last weekend. They're all ballers. They all own and operate businesses, and some of them are real estate professionals and some of them are outside. The consensus of the group: be prepared for another 24 months. Think it could be 36. Be prepared for 24. If it happens in 12, thank you, God, let's rock and roll. But be mentally prepared for 2 more years of toughing it out through a transitioning economy and higher interest rate environment. Thanks for watching today. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Hey, YouTube recommended you watch this video right here.